Hey guys, and welcome to my new video. With Same Faction Battlegrounds out, I'm anticipating a whole bunch of players getting back into the PvP scene, so I thought I'll make a quick guide on Eye of the Storm to help out any of the newer players doing it for the first few times. We will cover a brief battleground overview, we'll cover capturing towers and capturing the flag, and finally we'll discuss how it usually plays out and a general battleground strategy you can use. Now please note, this is aimed at newer Battleground players, or people stepping into Eye of the Storm for the first few times. Serious PvPers, any retail players will most likely have done heaps of these Eye of the Storms before, so a lot of this info won't be new to you at the start. But in saying that, definitely stick around to the end where I cover some of the more in-depth details and tips. So let's get into it. Eye of the Storm is a 15 versus 15 Battleground that takes place in Netherstorm. The aim of the Battleground is to reach 2,000 points before the opposing faction, with points being accumulated in two ways. The first way is via capturing towers. Towers give points every 2 seconds based on the total amount of towers you have. For Alliance, you spawn closest to Mage Tower, or MT, as well as Draenei Ruins, or DR. For Horde, you spawn closest to Blood Elf Tower, or Bet, as well as Fel Reaver Ruins. To gain control of a tower, you must be standing near the tower's flag point and have the sliding meter move to your faction's control from the neutral grey area in the middle. Now, this can be tricky based on same faction queuing, so just be sure which side you've spawned on and which side you're playing for. It'll let you know when you've capped the tower with an announcement in the chat box. If the capping gauge is visible, it means you're in the cappable area, and if you can't see it, you're not capping it. If you're a rogue or druid, you cannot cap the tower while stealthed, so be sure to unstealth while you're in the area. The capping works on a player weighting system, so whichever faction has more players in the capturable vicinity, the bar will slide accordingly to that faction. So if it's in neutral and there's 4 players and only 1 alliance player, the bar will naturally slide towards the horde end of the meter and vice versa. Here's a handy table that shows you the points you can get per tick depending on how many towers you have. You can definitely see how strong it is getting 3 towers and just how bad it is for your team when you do go down to 1 tower. That's why it's so important to take fights on the capturable area. Don't get pulled off just to chase. Be sure that you're in the capturable area, and if you're doing any kind of fighting, make sure it's near a flag. If you're pushing a tower that you think's been left unattended, always try and hide while you cap it in either one of the buildings or right in the back. This will allow you to at least get to the neutral zone of the meter before anyone realizes that you're capping their tower. Now, the other way to get points is by capturing the flag. The flag is located in the center of the map and is worth more depending on the number of towers you control at the time of capturing the flag. It is picked up similar to how you would cap a base in Arathi Basin. It needs to be channeled for 10 seconds and taking damage cancels that channel. Once picked up, an audio will play across the battleground, which varies depending on which faction you are, just like Warsong Gulch. It needs to be run to one of the towers you control and delivered to the center of the tower. All the same Warsong Gulch rules apply when carrying the flag in Eye of the Storm, so you can't mount or stealth when you have the flag, otherwise you'll drop it, but you can use abilities like Travel Form, Sprint, and Blink. Here's another table that shows you how many points each flag is worth, depending on how many towers you have. Okay, so how this battleground usually plays out. You spawn up the top and you're in this dome. When the dome falls, 1 to 2 players will cap each of the closest bases, and the rest usually zerg mid, which is where we sort of fall into our typical 2-2 strategy. The 2-2 strategy involves obviously holding the 2 closest towers that you spawn to, and then fighting over mid control in order to cap the flag for the extra points needed. Now, this is the best and safest option for pugging, as it allows for the strong defense of the 2 bases, while putting spare players towards the fight for mid control, and then moving to block any attacks on your towers. It's important to remember, often you'll slog it out in mid and gain flag control, but you'll lose a tower in the process. Now, obviously your plan is to head into the direction of your only tower, but just because you have the flag doesn't mean you need to cap it straight away. Increase your field of view, put on max distance, and get that second tower back. Wait for the team to reposition and respawn, get mid control back, and then cap the flag. It's never a good idea to cap the flag without considering the game state and your team's positioning and the tower count. The other usual strategy that plays out is the 3-base strategy. This involves putting an emphasis on capping a 3rd base over the importance of mid. Capping flags is important, but with this strategy we're prioritizing maintaining a 3-tower advantage. If you're trying to do this and you're comfortable directing your team, it's best to send 1 to 2 to each close tower as you would normally, but sending a group of players to the far side, either Mage Tower or Draenei Ruins if you're on Horde, or vice versa for Alliance, This is designed to take advantage of the fact that only 1 to 2 players will be initially capping the flag on the opposing faction, and you can quickly steamroll them and cap from neutral rather than from Horde to Alliance or vice versa. The reason we send a small pack of players to mid still is just to delay the capture of the mid flag. If we just send everyone to the far side towers, you may not get the towers and you've lost mid control, so this is a nice contingency plan. If you're mid, what you're trying to do is buy time and keep people in combat. You're not trying to wipe them. You will be more than likely a couple of players down. So just play it safe, keep people in combat, and with people capping the far side towers, people will try and peel off and defend those towers. So that's when you can start pushing in and keeping people in combat. If you're successful, the enemy team will either have to take players out of mid to recap, making mid control easier, or start quickly falling behind in points now that they're 1 tower down. Some important considerations when doing this: if your team does go 3-1 down in towers, it's actually virtually impossible to win just off flag captures alone, so your priority is always maintaining at least a 2-2 tower count before you start considering flags. It is not worth going down 3-1 in towers just to get a flag cap. And lastly, the 4-0 strategy, which is unlikely to happen. 4-capping your opponent is by far the quickest way to win, and is usually so rare that you'll only see it versus a pre-made or when your team is heavily stacked against you, or maybe you're down on numbers, or you're being 3-capped so badly that the team just gives up. And remember, each battleground is different, and you'll have different amounts of healers, DPS, flag carries, gears, and skill levels, so there's no one best approach or one surefire way to guarantee your victory. Assess your win conditions in the starting area during the downtime, and start communicating with your team. In Eye of the Storm, communication is the most important thing. Call your incomings, shot call kill targets in chat, and above all else, just keep it cool. Getting 3-capped isn't a death sentence. Don't hit your teammates up with the GG 0.5 seconds after you lose a tower. Rally your group together, recap the tower, and remember, try and have some fun with it. If you're looking to buy honor pizzas, you'll be doing a lot of these, so just try and enjoy it. That's all for today's video. I had a lot of fun making this one, and as a Horde player, these cross-faction BGs are a really nice change of pace. And I also hope that my ally viewers also feel rewarded with their new loot boxes. I love PvP a lot, so you'll be seeing a lot more Battleground and Arena content coming out shortly. So keep an eye out for that, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. But that's all for today. See you guys.